And we're back for another Cardinals Nest on HBC Channel 25, the sports show devoted exclusively to St. Mary's University here on HBC. Dean Beckman, along with St. Mary's Sports Information Director Donnie Netto, back for another week to talk Cardinals athletics. Joining us a little bit later on in the program will be cross-country head coach Ward Behrendt, along with Jake Traxler. Jake is a junior runner on the Cardinals cross-country team, and Donnie, we'll hear from Ward and Jake later. They just finished up their conference meet, now getting set for regionals.
Yeah, the last fall sport to still be in competition is the cross-country teams, and I know they're looking forward to a solid performance this weekend at the Central Regional. Weather's looks like it's going to hold off. They won't be running in the snow, so I'm sure that's a good thing. And I'll be curious to ask both Ward and Jake if the weather does play any kind of a factor, if the temperature is going to be about what they want, or maybe going to be a little too cold, or try and get into the psyche of them. And then I hear we got a little royalty with Jake showing up for this show.
We do, actually, yes, a former homecoming king is Jake, and so we'll maybe ask him about that as well. You know, your point about the weather is a good one, Donnie, because cross country is the longest, really, of the fall season sports. Gets started in September, August, when it's very warm out, and concludes sort of mid-November. Who knows what you're going to get then? So we'll touch on that later on with Ward and Jake. But first, we'll talk about the previous week in St. Mary's athletics. And Donnie, with the fall seasons being done for a lot of the teams, we have just a couple of winter sports to talk about, and that's men's and women's hockey, and then swimming and diving. So we'll start out with the men's hockey action. And last week here on the show, we talked about a couple of one-goal losses in the MIAC Hockey Showcase. Unfortunately, two more losses this past week, but one of those losses against a very good team, a ranked team in Wisconsin Superior, and the Cardinals go down by just one goal against that ninth-ranked team. 4-3 was the final.
Yeah, I think if you talk to Coach Moore, you're going to get two different opinions in terms of how they played over the weekend. They played very well. It's unfortunate that they had the close losses again, but if you know Coach Moore at all, he's going to tell you that he's tired of the moral victories and the silver linings. He wants some victories, and they're playing. When you get in games like that are 3-2 games or 4-2 games, you're playing in games that you're capable of winning just as easily as the other team. And right now, getting close is as close as they're getting. And I know if you talk to Coach Moore, he's going to say that it's time for them to start getting some victories. And they lost 4-3 to Superior. You're right, a ranked team. Schedule doesn't get any easier for them. They've got Hamlin, which is the defending conference tournament champion, this weekend. So the road doesn't get any easier there. And then just before Thanksgiving, they take on Milwaukee School of Engineering, and right now they're ranked number 11 in the country. So it certainly doesn't get any easier for them, and hopefully they'll find a way to turn those one-goal losses into one-goal victories.
Right. Let's talk about that St. Scholastica matchup first, Donnie. That was up in Duluth, and played well for a time, but St. Scholastica able to pull ahead 4-2 was the final in that one. What went well? I mean, and you had a chance to see all of these games. So what did the Cardinals do well in that one, and what were some areas where they fell a little bit behind on?
Well, I think despite the 4 goals, right now goaltending is a definite positive for the Cardinals. Andy Scheib and Jason Horstman are both playing extremely well right now. The biggest thing that really hurt St. Mary's against Scholastica is injuries. Andy went down late in that game and hurt his knee again. Austin Belko has a high ankle sprain. Jimmy Becker hurt his shoulder. So really, when they went into the Superior game, they were without 5 players who were regulars in their lineup. So they went into that Superior game really kind of with a lot of questions in terms of personnel, and yet they come away with just a 3-2 loss, or a 4-3 loss. So I think it's really right now offensively they've got to get that on track. 2 goals in their first 3 games, and then 3 goals against Superior. They need to generate a little bit more offense, and I know Coach Moore will be the first one to tell you that the forwards need to step up and start producing. Their 3 goals against Scholastica were from 3 defensemen, so forwards have got to do a better job of generating offense and then converting on those opportunities. But right now, as they head into Hamlin, one of the biggest keys that they've got to do is they've got to get healthy. The interesting thing, if you look at the Cardinals so far this season, we lost to St. Olaf 3-2 in the MIAC Showcase. We lost to Scholastica 4-2. The following day, Scholastica turned around and beat St. Olaf 9-1. So, you know, it kind of shows you that, yeah, you know, sorry, Coach Moore, but, you know, there are plenty of silver linings in these games. And, you know, you play a very good team like Scholastica to a 4-2 decision, you know, and like I say, a team that then turns around and beats St. Olaf 9-1. It does show that you are very close to you know, to getting over that hump. Now what they need to do is get over that hump.
Yeah, no question. As you say, it'll be easier said than done with Hamlin. Not only are they the defending tournament champions, but also they are the number 10 ranked team in the country. Fortunately for the Cardinals, they have to go there to play Hamlin in St. Paul on Friday night. But it'll be the home opener for the men's team on Saturday, so they should get a good, raucous crowd for that one at the St. Mary's University Ice Arena, and a 7:30 start on Saturday night.
Yeah, it's always tough when you look at the season so far. To play 5 games on the road to begin with is, you know, certainly not the way you want to open your season. You want to get your team in front of your home crowd, and the St. Mary's crowd is always, you're right, it is a raucous crowd, and it's a great atmosphere, and the players feed off of that, and you know, hopefully that will bode well for them again this weekend. I think an interesting thing to look at with the Cardinals right now is through 4 games they've scored 9 goals. Those 9 goals have come from 9 different players. So they certainly are spreading the wealth in terms of getting their offense going. It's, you know, you've got 9 guys that have got a goal. The problem is you don't have anybody that's got more than 1 goal. So, you know, hopefully they can get that going this weekend. And they're playing at a new rink up in Vadnais Heights when they go to Hamlin. And then obviously when they come home here, they'll get to finally play in front of their home crowd. So it's a big weekend. It's the conference openers. So, you know, hopefully things will go the Cardinals' way. And one thing, hopefully they can continue to play well, because they are playing very well right now. It's just a matter of getting over that hump and getting that first victory. I think once they do that, you know, who knows what can happen with this team.
You know, one of the things that we haven't talked about on this show, I don't think, and I think what a lot of fans might not realize is St. Mary's is one of the few schools in the conference that has its own ice arena. All of the other schools have to play at some site off campus in the city somewhere.
Right. You look at Hamlin this weekend. They, you know, Hamlin is located in St. Paul, and they actually travel to Vadnais Heights. That's their home rink. That's where they practice. So they've got to pack up and haul off to Vadnais Heights for practice every day. We are very fortunate. We've got a great rink right on campus, and you know, we take advantage of that. And you know, like we were talking earlier, it's a great place to play. The fans are outstanding, and they really are very supportive. And I know Coach Moore and the team is looking forward to a big crowd this Saturday, you know, for that 7:30 start. And hopefully we can, you know, as we were joking off camera, hopefully we can get fans there for the start at 7:30 so that they can get the house going and you know, get the Cardinals, give them some momentum from the home crowd.
Yeah, traditionally the students usually arrive 10-15 minutes late, but hopefully a later start they can get there right away and give the Cardinals a good first period edge there against Hamlin University on Saturday night. That's the home opener. They play Hamlin on Friday night. Let's turn now, Donnie, to women's hockey action. And the women's team, I had a chance to see them last week right here on HBC, broadcast of the Friday night game. And that was against St. Norbert College, and it didn't look too good for a while. It was 3-1 as we ended period number 2. Going into period number 3, they just could not get anything going offensively, and then when they did, they would let St. Norbert come back and score again. But I'll tell you, Donnie, that third period was some of the most exciting women's hockey I've seen in a long time, as the Cardinals just came storming back, scored 4 goals in that third period to pull out the 5-3 victory.
Yeah, and it was a great win for the Cardinals. And you know, traditionally, a 4-goal period like that is not something that that St. Mary's is known for. And I know Coach Manor was extremely happy to see his team finally get started. It's interesting that heading into this weekend against Hamlin, the Cardinals have not scored a goal in the first period. So traditionally this year they've been a little bit of a slow starting team, and you know, it looks like they're a much better finisher than they are starter. And you know, 4 goals in the third period is an outstanding performance. And really, you've certainly got to tip your cap to Nicole Olson. The senior had 5 points in that game. She had 3 goals and 2 assists, so she had a hand in all 5 goals in that victory. And you know, Oli's been a leader for that team for all 4 of her years, and she's been the points leader for the last 2. So really, she's kind of picking up right where she left off the last 2 years. And you know, anytime you can get a collegiate hat trick, that's certainly a feather in her cap. And you know, you look at Brianna Peterson, a freshman who scored 2 goals. That you know, that's a line that's really clicking right now, and I know Coach Manners is happy to have those ladies together, and certainly as they head into this weekend against Hamlin for their conference openers, they're hoping that that offensive firepower can continue.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about this Brianna Peterson, a freshman, of course, so I don't really know too much about her, but I have to believe that Mike Lester and Mandy Pearson, the volleyball, women's basketball coaches, they've got to be like vultures. I mean, this Brianna Peterson, a great athlete, and she's tall. I mean, she's one of the taller hockey players I've ever seen.
Yeah, you don't see too many 6-foot hockey players, and she's quite the player. 3 goals in their first 4 games, so she can put the puck in the net. And I know that Coach Manor knew this coming in. She's one of his recruits heading into this year, and he knew what she could do. And obviously there hasn't been a huge adjustment for her coming from high school level hockey, and now really just kind of taking the conference by storm, and he's put her together with Nicole, and Nicole's doing a great job of getting Brianna the puck, and really vice versa. So she's certainly not going to be a secret for too much longer.
Right, yeah. And then the next day, also here on HBC, the Cardinals took on Concordia University out of Wisconsin, and that was a game I think they'd like to have back. They got off to a very, very slow start in that one, as you alluded to earlier, Donnie. 3-0. They fell behind, could not come back this time in a 4-2 loss.
Yeah, it's tough when you give up a goal in the first 19 seconds of a game. It really is tough to overcome that, and you give the team credit for battling, but when we had Coach Manor on the show last week, he kind of alluded to the fact that there might be a little bit of a roller coaster ride with this team, in that there are a lot of young players, and that consistency could come into play, and if you look at the way they played over the weekend, that consistency was certainly consistently inconsistent, and so as they head into the conference and as they head into the rest of the season, that's certainly a concern of Coach Manor's, and something that they've got to continue to do a better job of, and that is just play consistent hockey, play like they did in that third period against St. Norbert for 60 minutes, and I will be, Terry will be the first one to admit that he's a toughie when it comes to judging how his team plays, and he's going to look at each period, and if they play it well or if they don't play it well, and they've got to get some of that consistency. And if you go from this weekend, right now that consistency isn't quite there.
Right, but I would agree. I mean, if they would play like they did in that third period against St. Norbert, they would beat any team out there. I mean, they looked that good in that third period. So this weekend now, Hamlin, Donnie, as the conference season starts, and they play the Friday night game in Winona, Saturday night in St. Paul, and I noticed that the women's team plays at the Drake Arena in St. Paul, so they don't even play in Vadnais Heights like the men's do.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, alluding to us having our own rink. You look at the Hamlin, and they've got 2 separate rinks that they go to. The women play at Drake Arena in St. Paul, and the men go to Vadnais Heights.
If I'm a student fan, I mean, I don't know where to go. I mean, right? So it's got to
certainly could cause a problem. And the nice thing here is you come to the St. Mary's Ice Arena, and you're going to see some good hockey. And I think that you're right. If the women can play like they did against St. Norbert in that third period, and they proved right there that they're capable of putting together that type of a 20-minute performance, that's the way Coach Manor expects them to play all the time. And he's a perfectionist. He expects that all the time. And so really what he's got to key on, and what the Cardinals have to key on, is playing like that in the first period, because right now it's that first period. It's getting out of that gate quickly that has been their problem. They've got to stop trying to come from behind all the time, give their goalies a little bit of a breather rather than making them, putting their backs to the wall if they fall behind early. So, it's certainly a concern of Coach Manor's, and it should be a concern. You want to play from in front, not from behind, and playing catch-up is not always easy to do.
Yeah, so Friday night, 7 o'clock for the women's hockey team against Hamlin, 7:30 Saturday night for the men's team against Hamlin at home. Donnie, let's switch gears now to swimming and diving. Last week we talked about the Tommies relays, but didn't really have too much to mention there, as they don't keep team scores, and so now the Cardinals in their first event where team scores were kept.
Yeah, and then if you talk to Coach Lindquist, they did very well. I think for a first meet, they were happy with their performance. The women finished second and the men finished third, and I think that it's going to become a point that we talk about all the time, and that's the performance of Liz Flynn, the senior diver for the women's team. She is just, Coach Lindquist expects her to have a phenomenal year, and to start out with a win in one of the diving competitions and a second place in the other one. I think that his feeling is right, and she is really going to have a great season. And they got some solid times from a number of different people. On the guy side, Mark Ross is going to be another one that's going to be looked to have a big year, and so I think that it was a good measuring stick for Coach Lindquist and the teams, just to get some times posted that they can look at and kind of say, okay, this is our starting point. Here's where we want to get to. This is how much work we've got to put in. So if nothing more, it was a good starting point, a good measuring stick, and hopefully times will continue to just drop, and they'll get ready as they really, it's it's November and we're already talking about as they build toward the end of the season and those MIAC championships, because that's what this season is all about. They've got the women have a dual meet this weekend against Concordia. Concordia just has a women's team, so there won't be any men's competition there. I know Coach Lindquist had said that the men will do some inter-squad races, but nothing in a team variety. But the women will go up against Concordia in a duel, and hopefully next week when we're talking, we'll be talking about a dual meet win.
Yeah, good to see Neil Hecox do well. He finished third in both the 100 breaststroke and the 200 individual medley. And Neil is a senior now. He's from San Diego. He missed all of last year. He was off studying in Australia, and I had a chance to talk with him, Donnie, and I said, so did you get some training in? Coach Lindquist is going to expect you to be in shape. You were in Australia. I said, should be plenty of swimming opportunities there. And he said there was, but it's all recreational. He said not much competitive swimming.
Right. And for him to come, come back after a year layoff and turn in solid times like that and finish third in a couple of events.
I was impressed.
That is impressive because you're right. He probably did get some swimming in, but not in the competitive nature that Coach Lindquist puts him through in practice daily and then in the competitions that they compete in. So, for him to finish third in 2 events, that is a good sign for for a solid senior year for him.
Okay, so that's all of the action this past week in St. Mary's Athletics. Next week on the program, we'll get to preview women's and men's basketball a little bit as they start tipping things off next weekend. Still off this weekend playing some exhibition games, but the competitive action doesn't start until next weekend for basketball. All right, stay tuned here to the Cardinals Nest. Coming up next, we'll bring on Ward Barrett and Jake Traxler. Ward is the head coach, Jake a junior runner for the cross-country team, and we'll talk about the regionals coming up this weekend down in Iowa. That's next here on the Cardinals Nest on HBC.
In Antwerp, Belgium, every diamond is unique, each with its own story. Holton's Jewelry offers you the rare opportunity to be a part of that story by traveling halfway across the world to choose your diamond directly from Antwerp's famed diamond cutters. Come in now before we head overseas, and you can secure your own hand-picked diamond from the city that has made diamonds sparkle for centuries. Experience the romance of an Antwerp diamond only at Holton's Jewelry in downtown Winona.
Can I get a price check on mayonnaise and aisle 4?
It's crunch time now for Coach Scott Ballard. Time is running out. He's faced with his toughest decision today. Does he go with the regular or does he go with the low fat?
Justin, I think you got to go with the low fat here. When it comes to your health, you just cannot be too cautious. But there's a lot of fiber in those, so you want to be careful.
Guys, are you serious? Our season hasn't even started yet.
I'm here shopping.
Thank you. Biscuit in the basket? Yes!
And welcome back here to the Cardinals Nest on HBC. Dean Beckman, Donnie Netto, joined now by some cross-country, the coach and one of his runners, a junior runner, and Jake Traxler. Ward Barrett, the head coach. So, guys, thanks for joining us today. And Jake, let's start off with you. You're from La Center, Minnesota. Now you're a junior already here at St. Mary's. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in running, long-distance cross-country running, and how you ended up coming to St. Mary's. I have a feeling your sister had something to do with that, right?
Yeah, my sister came to St. Mary's, and I don't know, she talked up to college, and I didn't really want to go to the same place as her, but ended up that I really liked the campus, so I came here. And my story with running is kind of a different one. We're too small a school to have a cross-country team in Lee Center, so I never ran cross-country in high school. I just ran track, mile, 2 mile, stuff like that. So then I had a pretty good senior season, and I emailed Ward and just like, hey, I'm interested in running track for you for distance, and he's just like, well, you gotta run cross country. So I figured I'd try it, and then, I don't know, it turned out okay.
Yeah,
so
well,
I like it.
It seems pretty natural. Now, of course, when you weren't running cross country, you were busy being the homecoming king at Lee Center. There in 2008, this was Connie Boudin was your homecoming queen, right? And now she's going to St. Mary's too. So we have some sort of in there in Lee Center. There,
Oh, yeah, we got a connection there.
yeah, we got a good connection.
Jake,
going.
talk a little bit about that transition, because like you said, you didn't compete in cross country in high school, and you can really see it if you go back, Ward, and you can probably back me up here, if you go back and look at your freshman year here and your sophomore year, and then compare it to this year, because this year you're really having kind of a breakout year. Was it a big adjustment and kind of a learning process those first couple of years?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I probably tried to quit like 3 times during the summer because like I was just not used to summer running. So that was getting used to running like all year round was a big adjustment, and just running that long a distance, because my longest race before that was a 2-mile, and the first 8K I kind of took out, like I just went out with one of John Velez, was a veteran, and he just like, okay, just stay with me, and I've improved my time a lot my freshman year. Each time I was a little more willing to do a little more, and then last year I was still tinkering with it, and this year I think I kind of got a system on what I need to do and know how to run actually, so that's nice to do.
Ward, I mean, was it those first couple of years an adjustment for him? And talk about, you know, where he's at now. I mean, obviously, you know, he's kind of trying to catch up with those first 2 years, but obviously he's having a great year this year.
Yeah, absolutely. That first year definitely was a struggle for Jake, because the volume is so much different than what he's used to. Training year-round is so much different. Coming in with summer miles, I mean, those are a lot of things that you just have to figure out and work through as you're doing it. You only have a few race opportunities, so you don't have many chances to really kind of get it figured out. Now we're talking, I don't know, probably 16 total races in cross country. Now you start to get it figured out a little bit, and he's been toying with his PR record now for a little while. He's hit his PR 2 times this season so far. We're just kind of waiting for that next big drop to happen.
And obviously, hopefully, it's this weekend. Let's go back a couple of weeks. The MIAC championships. You know, the guys you expected about to finish where they were, which is a huge jump up from a year ago. There was a lot of expectation on this team, this guy's team this year. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I don't know if the expectation was any higher than it has been before, because I mean, we always want to improve from the season before. Always want to get better than what we have been. The difference was now there was a number placement. There was a placing in our conference that was changing, and that was the part I think that started getting in people's minds a little bit and saying, okay, now we can do this, and we're not going to be happy till we do at least this, if not better. And we achieved what our kind of, I don't want to say what our minimum goal was, but we achieved what we should have achieved in this season.
You know, as I look at the men's roster, Coach, it seems to be very evenly dispersed with strong senior runners, a couple of strong junior runners like Jake there, a couple of strong sophomore runners, and some very good freshman runners as well. Is that something that's intentionally done, or just kind of worked out that way? But however it worked out, I think from a roster standpoint, you're really setting yourself up for more and more successful years.
Yeah. Each year I want to bring in at least 1 or 2 or 3 good freshmen coming in that I think will stay around, and that gives them a chance to develop, but also senior leadership really helps bring them along into the process too. So like you're saying, Aaron Haley, phenomenal freshman coming in too this year, and he's been really kind of learning from the upperclassmen too. So
right, and he comes from a successful Plainview Elgin Millville program where they're always one of the top teams in the state usually. So. And you look at some of your other seniors, especially. I mean, David Feather. Talk about him! What a phenomenal season he's had again.
Yeah, Feather's been pretty much a consummate leader for us throughout the teams or throughout the seasons running. We'll see what he can do here. He put in a lot more summer miles again too. I mean, he ran faster at conference this year than he ran the year before. We finished a little bit back because our conference was much faster this year. But region-wise, I mean, if he can run faster again, there's still kind of that outside shot of getting to nationals as an individual, and that's exciting. I know that's a goal he's shooting for.
Yeah. Now, Jake, this course at the regionals is going to be down in Iowa and Waverly. Now, this is a course you're familiar with, right?
Yep.
You've run this before. Tell us a little bit about the course and your thoughts on it.
It's a pretty flat course. It's pretty nice. They just made it the last 2 years ago, I think, and they made it with the intentions of having a lot of big races there. And we ran there twice last year, and we were running there twice again. So we're pretty familiar with it. no big hills, so that's always nice. But it's also pretty open, so you're going to get the wind. But everyone's got it, so it's, I don't know. Overall, it's a really nice course.
Let's talk a little bit about that. I kind of alluded to it in the first segment. Jake, talk a little bit about the weather and what kind of an effect it has. Do you prefer the colder weather? Do you prefer it a little bit warmer? Just talk about what you would like to see Saturday as you get ready for regionals.
The weather right now is kind of nice. I don't know. As long as it doesn't just drop or go up way high, then I'm fine. I prefer a little bit warmer than it is right now, but that's, I don't know, that's kind of being picky. Last year, the first time we ran at Wartburg, it was normal fall weather, and then all of a sudden it jumped really high, and that's no good either. Miserable race. So as long as the weather can stay consistent right beforehand and your body has time to adjust, you'll be fine. Just wear some gloves and maybe a hat, and you're good.
Jake, one of the things you talked about earlier was when you were a freshman, you know, trying to keep up with some of the upperclassmen, they kind of prodded and pulled you along a little bit. Do you see that now as your role with some of these freshmen to kind of help them out a little bit and kind of show them what's expected at the collegiate level for running?
Yeah, I don't know. They just kind of, I don't know, we go out and runs, and they run with us, and they'll take along, and we'll go and see what they're capable of. And, I mean, if they want to come with us, they'll come with us.
Yeah.
And depends how they feel on the day. Like, sometimes they'll stay back a little bit, and sometimes, I don't know, it's everyone adjusting. We don't say, hey, you should run with us. I mean,
right.
But, yeah, I don't know. They usually figure it out.
Right. It certainly seems to be a very nice mix, as we've kind of already touched on. But, Ward, one of the things Jake said is, you know, you kind of took a look at his track skills and said this might transfer to cross country. What made you believe that? Because clearly it has, right?
Well, the good news about track, times are time, because they're all running the same course, and maybe weather's the only difference. And looking at a couple different races that he had, I knew he had distance to just kind of grind, or the ability to grind it out in the distance events. His 2-mile time, I thought, was a much better PR than his 1-mile time. And I knew he didn't have a running background. Put some miles on him. Let's see what we can do. And that's where we're at right now. So,
as you head into Saturday, you know, I don't want you to give away your strategy or anything, but what are your expectations for both the men and the women? What do you want to see heading into this last meet of the year?
For the women, I'll start with women first. I think for that, it's to end on a good note, to really have that being a step towards for the next season. This year we were a little bit further back than we wanted to be. But we ended our conference on a really good note, a lot of PRs, a lot of lifetime PRs, a lot of excitement going into it, and I want to continue that through regionals. So the next year, more excitement to build on it. On the men's side, there's certainly a little more emphasis on the place part of it, but it's also, again, building to the next season again, too. We want to jump up probably another 3 or 4 spots from what we did last year. If we do that, I think it's probably pretty successful for the most part.
And Ward, just a minute left here in this segment. Let's touch on the women a little bit more. Who were some of your leading women this year from on the women's side?
We kind of had 4 that rotated out, so it depends on what race you're talking about. Our one senior, Regina Quant, she was always up there, always kind of taking the role when she needed to. But then we have 2 sophomores and a freshman that were really kind of filling in pretty good. Katie Stoll's freshman, definitely worked through the group her entire season, started off 6th or 7th for us, ended up being number 1 for us at conference because she developed that much and that much through the season, so it's really positive to see her there.
Great. All right, Ward Barrett, Jake Traxler, good luck this weekend at the NCAA Division III Regionals down there in Waverly, Iowa. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for being on the program today, and I'd like to thank you for watching. That's going to do it for the Cardinals Nest. Be sure to tune in next week. We'll be talking some basketball as the women's and men's basketball teams look to get started shortly here, and we'll catch you up on all of the hockey and swimming and diving action as well, and we'll update their regional performance. That's next week here on HBC's Cardinals Nest on Channel 25.